Trent, Condon, LeShun Daniels with you on today's Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. One final look back at how Iowa got here. Another victory against Minnesota. We'll get LeShun's thoughts on that one. I'll look forward to Black Friday as the Hawkeyes get ready for Nebraska. And, of course, a big week in basketball as well upon us as they make their way down to Florida to take on Clemson in game one, and then the winner of Cal TCU or the loser, depending on what happens for the first game for the Hawkeyes. It's a Turkey Day edition of the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast.
Our Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Trent Condon here, LeShun Daniels there. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day, available wherever you get podcasts. And you can also find us on YouTube. If you're at YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, as we sit here today, day before Thanksgiving, LeShun, the biggest breaking news, though, of course, is what you're working on right now, the new EA Sports College football game. We're awaiting for next summer. I've been working hard to try to get you, of course, get me an advanced copy. And then we find out I got to wait until 2024, as everybody does on that one. So I know you can't say a ton, but that was something I'm sure you certainly knew was a possibility that was in the works. Some frustrated people out there. What's going on, LeShun? What happened? Did you hit a wrong button?
No, it had nothing to do with what I did, thankfully.
Okay.
But no, it really just ended up coming down to just making sure that, because obviously like the game hasn't been out in a long time. It's been, by the time it releases, it's going to be over a decade, right? So you want to, as we're bringing it back, you want to have another, like, you only get one chance at a first impression again. So like, you want to make sure that it's the right one. And us moving the date, putting it for 2024 is going to put us in a better position to be able to do that. So don't get me wrong. I'm sure, I know everyone's bummed. My friends texting me asking like, what is this? Like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys actually like working over there? Like, yes, we're working. So it just ended up coming back to, we want to make sure that we put a quality product out there, and that just ended up being for what's best. So well, we looking forward to 2024.
Well, that'll be even more work for you and getting it right. And, I saw a lot of people talking about this. I've read a couple of articles the last couple of days, and they said, this is just not going to be a recreation of Madden. It's flipping out one of the old skins of Madden and saying, here's the game. You guys want to do it right. And that's good to hear. Yeah, is it frustrating as somebody wants to be able to play the new college football game? No doubt, but getting it right. I mean, obviously that's the most important thing. And listening to you and reading a lot about this, you guys are going to get this one right.
Yeah, that's the plan. So once we're able to show it off for everyone, like, we're going to be excited to show it off, and I'm sure the fans are going to be excited to play it. So definitely can't wait. But it's going to be it's going to feel like a long wait, but it'll be here before you know it.
We will get to it, no doubt about it. All right, LeShun, let's get into what we saw last week against Minnesota, a game where you saw Mo Ibrahim just absolutely dominating that football game at times. I mean, when they went to the backup, you could just see the difference between what he is and anybody else on that roster. He's a difference maker. I haven't seen a running back, Iowa, like that in a very long time. And Minnesota had some success running the football, and Michigan had success this year, and Corum was really good. Ibrahim, though, I saw this question posed on Twitter. You're only, of course, allowed two running backs for first team All Big Ten between Blake Corum, what we saw, Mo Ibrahim, and then Chase Brown at Illinois. You can only pick two of them. And that's an impossible decision of who you go with out of those three guys.
It's tough. That's a tough choice. I mean, all three of those guys are fantastic running backs, literally all-American quality running backs. And to have all three of those in one conference and try to make a decision for two of them is nearly impossible. I mean, Blake Corum's been on a total tear for the entire year, but really, honestly, before he went out against Illinois last week, and he still had over 100, in essentially one half. And then Chase Brown, again, consistent every single week. I think the Purdue game was the only week he didn't have rush for over 100 yards. And again, had a spectacular game last week. And then you got Mo Ibrahim, who, I mean, he ran for over 260 yards against the Hawkeye defense, which is, one of the best defenses in the entire country. So, and where it makes it a very, very tough decision for a voter to choose two of those guys. And I'm glad I'm not the one making that decision, because no matter who you pick, someone's going to be snubbed, and you can make a case for all three of those guys. And who knows what those guys' NFL careers are going to be like. But when it comes to being college football running backs, they're spectacular. They do everything that you want a running back to be able to do. And there's a reason why that teams can really lean on them as they've had up to this point in the football season.
We get into what we saw, and it was an impressive performance out of him. Iowa, though, just finding a way once again, and we've talked about it this week on the podcast, LeShun. This will be remembered as the Jack Campbell game, a guy that has had his teams back all season long. Would have been easy for at times him and the defense to maybe throw the offense under the bus. He's never been about that. He's yelled at the fan base. He has been, sticking behind Spencer Petras and the rest of that offense. He epitomizes what you want out of a leader, and really kind of epitomizes Iowa football and what's it about. You look at that performance, what he's done. I think of some of the great leaders. Who were those guys that you could count on when you were playing? Who is a guy that you think of? Because it just feels like Campbell, he's the kind of guy you want to play football with.
Yeah, when I think of defensive guys that I've played with, guys where everyone looked to them throughout the entire year, and they always showed up in big moments, and that was Josie, right? That was Josie for the teams that I was on, and I think he was a captain like 3 straight years, something like that, or 2 years. It might have been 3 straight years. Like he was a captain on football team, and Josie just did everything right, and he's all-American guy who flying around the football field, making plays every single opportunity. And then when the big moments were there, right, he goes and he made those plays. And that's what I see from Jack Campbell. And honestly, he unites the team quite a bit, and he always has everyone's back. And when the big moments are needed and your best is needed, he shows up. We saw in the Minnesota game, they're driving. In Minnesota, they're doing whatever they want. They essentially ran the football. It was 14 straight times. It was ridiculous at one point. And you could feel Minnesota, they had the momentum. They had it. And then next thing you know, running back might be a little bit tired, whatever, right? But Jack Campbell, because he makes a play, forces a fumble, Iowa recovers. Then we don't do too much with it. Fast forward, and now you get in a situation where, hey, they're coming down to the end of the game. It looks like they might put themselves in a position to get the winning field goal score, and then Jack Campbell makes an interception, which should have been a pick six, right? But we're not gonna dive too much into that. We know it was a bad call. It is what it is. Makes a incredible play to snatch momentum back to Iowa, and he's done it all year. He's flying around all over the field, and guys like that, especially coming from a linebacker, when you think of football players and you think of real football team leaders, you think of quarterbacks and you think of linebackers. And I think Iowa has a pretty good group of leaders, both in the quarterback and the linebacker position. And Jack has done a fantastic job throughout the entire football season. And I know that he's going to be looking to finish the year on the right foot over these next few weeks, and then it's going to be exciting to watch him in the NFL.
It really is, and seeing what he's been able to do, this defense as a whole. The defensive front didn't have their best game, but certainly anticipate that they're going to have some kind of bounce back here. That's a look back. We look forward when we come back here on Locked On Hawkeyes. We'll talk a little bit about the matchup against Nebraska. Nothing to play for the Cornhuskers as it pertains to division titles or even a bowl game, but one last chance and maybe a chance to make this a rivalry. We'll talk about that as we continue here on Locked On Hawkeyes. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes game for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster. Very simple. Just hop on, post your job for free on LinkedIn Jobs, add the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That spreads the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Trent, Condon, LeShun Daniels back with you here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Hit that subscribe button for everybody out there on YouTube. Gets us in front of more Hawkeye fans as we get ready for Black Friday. It's a matchup against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So take us back. I mean, when you're playing this one. So, LeShun, you maybe have faint memories of the great Nebraska teams of the 90s, the good teams that they had with Pelini, but even for me, somebody a little bit older, I mean, I remember Nebraska football as an absolute power. Maybe you don't have those same kind of memories, but it was still the N on the helmet, right? It was still the red. It was still a Memorial Stadium, all those different things. What was it like getting ready for the Nebraska game and playing one of the at least old blue bloods of college football?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have that many like memories of Nebraska football. Big part of the reason, like growing up in Ohio, we had our own Ohio
Right.
State, so never really
Yeah.
paid attention to Nebraska, but always knew that they were a strong football program that's had um, a lot of success over their history. And even when I was in, what was that, middle school, freshman in high school, they were still pretty good. They were in what, a Big 12 title game. I think, what was that? They lost to Texas on like the last
Mm,
like, field goal.
yeah.
And then even early, like when they made the move to the Big Ten, where they were in the Big Ten title game as well. So you knew that they were like it was a good football program. Um, so you always got excited to play a team like that. And anytime you get to play a team like that, you get excited for it. And even though they haven't been at that level over the past 10 years, it was still like something you look forward to. You got the opportunity to play those guys because you're like, hey, this is essentially it's a former blue blood college football program. And I'm sure and obviously they're working to get back to that level. But when you got that opportunity, you didn't want to waste it. And we always made sure that, hey, we're going in and we're gonna prep. We're gonna prep just as we do every single week. But when we know that when we get out there on that field on Friday, that hey, we're gonna be trying to make some noise and show off like why you guys should have recruited us versus some of the players that you have on your roster. So
This Nebraska team obviously looking for a new coach. Scott Frost has been fired. Not a ton to play for, but got to give credit. I watched a lot of the Wisconsin-Nebraska game last week, and team's still playing hard. You know, this is not a team that has quit. And I wondered if there was going to be some level of quit from them. That's not the case. Now, they're not very good. They're not very disciplined. These are kind of some of the hallmarks of certainly the Scott Frost era of Nebraska football that has continued. But they also have a couple of talented dudes out there. You know, 11 through 11, 1 through 11, if you will. Not very solid, but individual pieces are pretty good here. And we know the limitations of the Iowa offense. You know, they hit a big play or two. They march down the field. That has been their best, is what they do early in football games. If Iowa find themselves down 10-0 middle of the second quarter, you get concerned just because of the limitations for the Hawkeye offense here. So I know Iowa's favored by double digits. It's a big point spread. They're favored by 10.5 right now, but this is one you can't afford to get down early. The good news is that has not been a problem for Iowa lately. They played well early in these football games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've been playing. Iowa's been playing really well over the past few weeks, especially early on. I mean, we went right down the field against Minnesota. We were able to put points on the board, which is important. And if we can start off that way this Friday, that's going to be very, very important for us in our success. Because as you said, Nebraska, they continue to play hard, and guys have pride. Even most guys have have some type of pride in themselves that they're just not going to go out there and play bad football. Something that my coaches have always told me is never put bad football on tape. So going out there and just lying down and just letting the team just walk right all over you is not something that really anyone is really willing to do, let alone players that play for a private program like Nebraska. Uh, See, they've had a struggling year, a lot of whole chaos kind of going around
Mhm.
their football team. But you saw them play Wisconsin last week, and they were in a battle the entire game, and couldn't pull it out. And we know Wisconsin is a solid football team, not as good as they've been in past years, but Wisconsin is a solid football team. They're always solid every single year. And now you come back and this week and you're playing an Iowa football team that you haven't beat in a long, long time. And you're going to have a bunch of players on the team that are seniors that are going to be in their last football game that haven't beaten an Iowa football team. And they're going to be looking to play spoiler because if you get an opportunity to knock someone out of possibly playing in a Big Ten title game, you want to jump all over that. And that's going to be some motivation for their players to go out there and play fast and really kind of make up for how the performance was last year. I mean, again, they were up by double digits late in that football game last year and then made a play on special teams and essentially just flip the momentum like that. So they're going to be looking to avenge that and play spoiler in one night. Like that's going to be something that's going to be a bunch of their motivation. We'll see if they can, if they pull it off, which I'm hoping that they don't, because again, Iowa knows what we're playing for. We know how important this football game is, not only just because it's the next football game, but because now you're playing for a trophy. You're playing for 2 trophies. You're playing for the Heroes Trophy or whatever, but you're also playing for a Big Ten West title. And I think that's something that's getting the guys going. I know it is. I know coaches are talking about it all week. So I'm just excited for the game and seeing how the Hawks play. So.
No Monty Pottebaum. He is going to be out this week. And most importantly, no Sam Laporta, as he's not going to be able to go. Some rumblings, maybe he had his knee scoped, and we'll see if Iowa wins this game, his availability for the Big Ten championship game. Now, the good news is Luke LeShun continues to play at a high level, but it does maybe change the offense a little bit more. You know, we saw Ostrego, the young guy, he's been out there a little bit at tight end. Stillanos, the kid that transferred in from a D2 program. You got a couple other pieces there, but I would anticipate, does that lead to maybe a little more 3 wide receiver sets also with about the fullback? And you're not going to probably see that as much. Is this an opportunity to see Brody Brecht, who made a really tough catch last week? Now it seems like he's getting more comfortable. Arlen Bruce working his way back. Regagini, those guys. This feels like this is going to have to be a game. And Spencer Petras threw the ball incredibly well outside of that 3 and out late in the game against Minnesota. You know, this might be one where you see them relying a little bit more on 3 receiver sets and that jet sweep motion, getting that back out there, because that's also opened up some things.
Yeah, I agree. I know that tight end group has been coached up extremely well. Abdul Hodge is now the tight ends coach, and he's been doing a bunch of good things for them this year. And they're all, the tight ends are always coached really well, regardless of if you're the starter all the way down to 5th string guy. All those guys are going to be coached really well. But that said, I do think they are going to lean on Luke LeShun for sure. As far as the other guys, I'm sure they're going to get their reps here and there, whether it be in some type of 12 personnel packages. But and especially with Monty being out as well, you put your tight ends kind of in a strange spot right there. So they're going to have to rely on the receivers a little bit more, and you're going to have to rely on the running backs. You're going to have to lean on them a little bit more to get some of that, kind of those safety blanket players in your passing game, right? Because we know Spencer loved to get the ball to Sam in the passing game, really, because he's really that security blanket for him. But now for this week, hey, it's next man in, and you got to take these opportunities that you have, and you got to snatch them up. And in the receiver group, We know, hey, there hasn't been a lot of production there this football season, but there's no reason why you can't have production this week, because there's going to be opportunities there for you, and you just got to go out there and take it. And when you get the opportunity and that ball comes your way, make sure that you go and you snatch it out the air and you make a play. You're going to have to rely on Spencer a little bit.
Oh no, I think we lost LeShun there for a moment. We'll get him back hopefully here momentarily and be able to continue our conversation here. We'll also get ready to make our picks for the week. We'll do that presented by BetOnline here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. I'm Trent Condon. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. For your next listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories of the day, instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. When we come back on the other side, we will continue our conversation. We will make our picks for the week presented by BetOnline. That's all as we continue here on Locked On Hawkeyes. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball, soccer with the World Cup going on, they even have esports. They have it all at BetOnline. If you love sports podcasts, you can find those also at BetOnline. Always the fastest and easiest way for your sports betting fix. Head to the website today or hop on your phone to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. As we continue here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Again, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. We're available wherever you get podcasts. And you also find us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see if we get LeShun back up here in just a moment, but time to make our picks presented by BetOnline. We do it each and every week. So let's do it right now. I'll fire out my picks and we'll see if we get LeShun back up here. Some technical difficulties on that front. So 5 games every week. That's what we do. Kick things off with the game. Michigan at Ohio State. The Buckeyes are favored by 8 in Columbus in that one. This one, I've been kind of back and forth all week long. In order for Michigan to win this game, I think you're going to see more out of J.J. McCarthy. I think really that is the key to the game. Michigan wants to grind it out. They want to slow this thing down. Got to be efficient when you get the football in plus territory. When you get in the red zone, you got to be scoring touchdowns as opposed to field goals, even if Michigan has an edge in special teams. Ultimately, it almost feels like a trap. I'm going to lay it here with Ohio State. They got the payback from a year ago, all those things. So I think we're going to go on that front. We're going to lay it here with Ohio State. Pick number 2, another one in the Big Ten. It's a battle for the X. Minnesota against Wisconsin. Bucky is a 3-point home favorite in this one. Seeing these two teams the last 2 weeks, who's the better team? I don't think it was close. I thought it was Minnesota. We'll see about the availability, of Tanner Morgan. Will Minnesota be able to run the football as effectively as they did last week? Probably not, but I just like the Gophers here, and I'm getting a field goal. I will take it with confidence. Give me Minnesota with pick number 2. Pick number 3, it is USC. They're at home for Notre Dame. The point spread sits at 5.5. I am going to go with Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. I grew up Irish Catholic. I hate the Irish. Been to a game there. It's an incredible experience, but boy, that fan base is just, they are a different breed. I will tell you though, USC, the turnover luck continued again last week. And you call it luck, call it making your own luck, whatever it is. The ball continues to bounce their way. It's going to be a different kind of game. This Notre Dame team is a completely different one that we saw back in September. I'm going to grab the points here. Give me Notre Dame plus the 5.5. Finally, before we get to the Iowa-Nebraska game, it is Oregon State. They used to call it Civil War. Now, well, with everything going in our country, they decided maybe that's not the best thing to be calling it anymore. Oregon, a 3-point favorite in Corvallis. Now, I got 2 parts of this. First of all, I have a couple of pretty good wagers on Oregon to win the Pac-12. Obviously, they need to win this game and then more than likely beat USC in the championship game for that ticket to cash. And I'm a little bit concerned, and maybe that is tainting my view here, but I'm going to grab the points. Give me the Beavers plus the 3 with pick number 4. And then we wrap things up with the Iowa-Nebraska game, Black Friday. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff, and that'll be on BTN. I think Nebraska covers this game. I think Iowa wins the game, but I think we have what we've seen really over the last few weeks. It is going to be ball control, boring. Who makes mistakes? And more than likely, that's going to be Nebraska. That's the team that ultimately makes the mistakes. Because of that, I'm going to grab the points with Nebraska. Iowa wins the game, though, most importantly, and punches their ticket to Indianapolis. My favorite bet, though, of that one, it's been basically every week. Iowa unders, and we're going under the number. 38.5 is currently the number in that one. So that's what we're shooting for. That's what we're hoping for in this matchup, is that we'll be able to get the Hawkeyes. Most importantly, just get the victory. And again, another under. That will be good stuff. Picks for the week brought to you by BetOnline. Find all the latest odds, news, and scores at BetOnline. Well, enjoy Thanksgiving. Have a good one. I'll be traveling. In fact, I'm going to be going to LeShun's home state, making my way out to Cleveland, go see my sister and my future brother-in-law. That is a Ohio State grad. That's right. I'll be watching the Ohio State-Michigan game with him. And certainly if Iowa wins, I know where my rooting alliance is going to be, and it is not going to be with his Buckeyes, but aside, we will have that and we will break things down. Instant Reaction Podcast coming on Friday evening. Remember, also, we got basketball coming up on Friday night. So Iowa plays in the football front at 3 o'clock, as mentioned, and then the basketball game will be at 6 o'clock. That's CBS Sports Network for that one. Something to keep an eye on, something that you'll have a fun night. We'll have an Instant Reaction Podcast for you, recapping more than likely both of those games. We'll try to get them both for you and put those together on Friday evening in your feed. That'll do it here for today. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and we'll talk to you again on Friday. Have a great Thanksgiving, and go Hawks.